Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to totally reframe what you think you know about one of humanity's absolute oldest and, yeah, most controversial habits. We're stripping away the modern packaging, the convenience stores, the whole industrial shebang to look at the deep, ancient roots of smoking. Because, well, the truth is, this didn't start with colonial trade routes or mass agriculture. It started with a fundamental human drive and a complete accident. Picture yourself sitting by a campfire, let's say 50,000 years ago. The sun goes down, there's no phone, no modern distractions at all. Literally just you, the flames, and that thick, choking smoke curling right into your face. I mean, our ancestors breathed smoke every single day for hundreds of thousands of years. It was completely unavoidable. It was basically the original air quality issue. But it sets the stage for an incredible biological discovery. Because depending on what plants were burning, some of that smoke carried psychoactive compounds. So this naturally leads us to a pretty big question. At what exact point did our ancestors look at that smoke, realize it was making them feel a certain way, and decide, hey, I'm going to inhale this on purpose? To figure that out, we have to look way past the guy taking a smoke break outside your office and travel deep into our evolutionary past, like long before we were even Homo sapiens. We actually have to start with the mastery of fire itself. About 1 million years ago, our earlier cousin, Homo erectus, was already containing fire. Archaeologists found burnt plant ash and charred bone at a site in South Africa called Wonderwork Cave. Now, this wasn't just a wildfire. This was a deliberate, sustained fire inside a cave. That means for over 1 million years, human and pre-human nervous systems were constantly exposed to a chemical cocktail of burning organic matter. Our brains were quite literally evolving alongside inhaled plant smoke. And this brilliantly illustrates what UCLA psychopharmacologist Ronald Siegel called the intoxication hypothesis. He basically proposed that our pursuit of altered states of consciousness isn't some modern accident or failing. It's actually a deeply embedded fourth biological drive, sitting right alongside our hardwired primal needs for hunger, thirst, and sex. Our ancestors were actively looking for ways to change how they felt. Now, get this. It's not even an exclusively human thing. We see this deep biological urge across the entire animal kingdom. Elephants intentionally track down fermented marula fruit to get a buzz. Siberian reindeer, they deliberately eat psychoactive Amanita muscaria mushrooms. And incredibly, those same reindeer engage in literal drug recycling by drinking the intact psychoactive urine of other reindeer who already ate the mushrooms. So yeah, the drive to alter our minds is incredibly ancient. Section 1. Ancient Evidence, Digging Up the Past. The scale of time we're dealing with here is just massive. Back in 2019, researchers actually found wild tobacco seeds deliberately placed in a Utah hearth dating back 12,000 years. 12,000! Moving forward a bit, we see chemical tobacco residue in ancient pipes from the southeastern U.S. from roughly 3,500 years ago. And over in Central Asia, around 500 BC, excavators in the Pamir Mountains found wooden braziers in tombs containing heated stones and cannabis residue with an unusually high THC content. That means this was intentional, ritualistic use. But wait, as we look at this, we really have to consider a massive preservation bias. Organic matter rots, right? We find stone tools from 3 million years ago because stone is, well, basically indestructible. But a wooden pipe or a leather pouch full of dried herbs, that just dissolves back into the earth after a few centuries. So we really have to ask ourselves, are we missing even older evidence simply because dried leaves don't survive? The absence of evidence here is definitely not evidence of absence. Sometimes, though, written history perfectly fills in those gaps. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus describes Scythian nomads performing a kind of vapor bath on the Eurasian steppe back in the 5th century BC. He wrote that they'd set up small enclosed tents, heat stones until they glowed, throw hemp seeds onto them, and sit inside inhaling the smoke. He literally described them as howling with pleasure. Now, for centuries, historians thought he was just exaggerating. That is, until archaeologists dug up Scythian mounds and found the exact bronze braziers, stones, and hemp residue he described. Spot on. Section 2. Medicine and Bonding. Ancient Uses of Smoke. Okay, I know it sounds completely counterintuitive to us today, but according to the Ebers Papyrus, which is one of the oldest medical documents in the entire world, dating to ancient Egypt around 1550 BC, physicians literally treated lung and throat problems by having patients inhale smoke from specific heated herbs like henbane. And they definitely weren't the only ones doing this. Hippocrates, in ancient Greece, used fumigation and herbal vapors for lung diseases. In ancient Indian Ayurvedic medicine, they had this highly sophisticated practice called dhumapana, or smoke drinking, using specific therapeutic plants. And honestly, the logic actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Smoke delivers the pharmacological properties of the plants directly to the lungs. It was this ingenious ancient delivery mechanism, working a lot like a modern asthma inhaler or a nebulizer. They didn't do it because they were addicted. They did it because, in a world without modern antibiotics, it worked. Beyond medicine, there's a fascinating social equation here. For ancient humans, isolated individuals died, but cohesive groups survived. Sitting together in a smoke circle, sharing an altered mental state, physically synchronizes neural activity. It builds deep trust. This wasn't just some prehistoric party. It was literal social infrastructure that bonded communities together so they could face harsh environments and actually survive. Section 3. The sacred plant. Tobacco's true origin. So tobacco was completely unknown to Europe, Africa, and Asia until the late 15th century. When Christopher Columbus and his crew arrived in the Caribbean in 1492, they were totally baffled. Columbus actually wrote in his journal about seeing indigenous men and women walking around, inhaling smoke from these small, glowing sticks of dried leaves and blowing it out through their noses. They were witnessing a practice that had already been refined for millennia. And this framing matters enormously. In these ancient American cultures, tobacco wasn't just a casual lunch break habit. It was a revered, disciplined, and sacred tool. It was used for deep healing, for binding tribal agreements, and for opening a direct communicative channel to the spirit world. The smoke itself was viewed as a living messenger, carrying prayers upward. When something is that sacred, you treat it with profound respect. You don't just chain smoke it while waiting for the bus. Section 4. Commodification. A modern disaster. Historically speaking, things move incredibly fast here. What took indigenous Americans thousands of years to perfect as a measured, deeply cultural ritual was rapidly transformed by Europeans. By the 1600s, it's this globally traded commodity. By the 1700s, aristocratic Europe is completely obsessed with nasal snuff. Then cigars take over the 1800s, and finally the early 1900s bring the industrially manufactured cigarette, which made tobacco cheaper, more convenient, and vastly more addictive than ever before. By the time we hit the 20th century, the industry had stripped away every last ounce of that sacred context. Historical records clearly document how companies suppressed internal science regarding cancer, how they marketed directly to teenagers, and how they actively engineered the plant with chemical compounds to make the nicotine hit the brain faster and harder. This comparison really captures a massive historical shift. On one side, you have a shaman in 500 BC using smoke to heal and build community. On the other side, a 1960s tobacco executive using the exact same plant, but to drive addiction and maximize profit. It's a huge moral chasm. Section 5. Unbroken thread. Connecting our past. It's been said that this initial discovery by our ancestors wasn't addiction, it was intelligence. Early humans sitting around a fire, noting that a burning plant changed how they felt, and then intentionally deciding to recreate that feeling, that was a massive cognitive leap for our species. To connect cause and effect like that, and to pass that highly specific knowledge down through generations entirely by word of mouth, is a huge testament to human intelligence and observation. So despite all our modern technology, our apps, our perfectly curated lives, we are still intimately connected to those early ancestors by this unbroken, almost poetic thread. It is a 100,000-year continuity of human experience, united by fire, smoke, and breath. It connects the air at your modern backyard bonfire directly back to those howling Scythian tents, the Egyptian physicians, and the Mayan shamans reading visions in the smoke. So, I'm going to leave you with this. The next time you sit by a summer fire or catch a whiff of wood smoke on a crisp night, will you remember the ancient, hardwired drive you're participating in? Because you really are participating in something far older and deeper than you probably ever realized. Thanks for watching this explainer, and keep questioning the world around you.